Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Wealth Strategy Media. This is a full new episode today. We have an amazing guest, and I'm looking forward to getting into that in a little bit. A little bit about me. I'm Aiden McNally. I am the president of Wealth Strategy Media. I'm the co-founder of the nonprofit organization Relief Alliance, as well as my dad is one of the founders here as well. We have a software firm and Wealth Strategy Magazine. We both founded all of our businesses together, father-son duo. So with that, I'll let him go a little bit about himself and into his bio. So go for it.
Yeah. So as you guys know from watching us, my son and I, we started Relief Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to working with the homeless and the youth. It's very important work. We built a massive alliance of people who just want to serve others. And we come together and do exactly that, from celebrities to influencers to international and domestic NGOs, peace institutions. We have a large network, and we're always taking new people on, new organizations. And again, the goal is just to come together to drive impact. Doing this kind of work, you can't do it alone. And, we have that media company. That's what you're on right now. You see us doing interviews at all kinds of cool events, interviewing celebrities, influencers, politicians, you name it. Today we have Lisa Kirkwood with us. So Aiden, you want to take that and you have anything to say?
Yeah, definitely. But I'm really excited to get into our guest today. So we'll get into her in a couple of minutes. But a little bit more about Relief Alliance is we are doing a homeless feeding in Orlando. So if you were in Orlando, Kissimmee, or anywhere in Florida and you want to travel up to Orlando, March 29th is the day. We're going to have governor candidate Frank Russo out there with us. He helped fund our outreach. So we're trying to feed as many people as we can, give out essentials, clothing, and a bunch of stuff. So if you have anything in your house, like used clothing that you haven't worn in like 2 years, bring it over to us, even ship it to us. We'll use that, and that will make somebody warm for the night. So make sure to get involved. Go follow us on all social medias at Relief Alliance and at Wealth Strategy Media. Just go support us and stay tuned with what we're doing.
Yeah,
definitely.
Awesome. So what do you think? We can go into commercial break and then let's bring Lisa on.
Let's do it. So we will see you guys in a couple minutes.
Awesome.
When disaster strikes, it doesn't just take homes. It takes safety and it takes hope.
Aiden and I, we've stood side by side with families that have lost everything in one moment and became homeless. All it takes is one act of kindness to change everything for them.
And that's why me and my dad started Relief Alliance, to help individuals overcome their toughest moments.
But we can't do it alone. There's families out there right now that need your help.
And for the price of 2 cups of coffee, you can provide a family food, clothes, water, and shelter every single month. Donate today at reliefalliance.org.
That's reliefalliance.org. Please be the hope that a family needs tomorrow. Thank you.
EZedWay Interactive. Start connecting the EZedWay. Are you ready to connect like never before? Introducing the EZedWay Interactive app, your ultimate social solutions network. Whether you're looking to network, collaborate, or simply share ideas, EZedWay makes it easy to engage with like-minded individuals and organizations. Discover innovative solutions, join exciting discussions, and expand your horizon, all in one powerful platform. Don't miss out on the future of social networking. Download EZedWay Interactive now and unlock endless possibilities.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. As you saw, that quick commercial break. But now we are getting into our special guest today, Lisa E. Kirkwood. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you for inviting me today. I am a speaker, author, and consultant, and I specialize in global diversity and intercultural communication, as well as team building, development, and empowerment. I work with corporate clients and private individuals, as well as nonprofit organizations, to basically elevate humanity, while in the process save companies some money, because I realized there's a lot of there are a lot of workplace issues nowadays, A lot of them stem from what used to be diversity training, which back in the days companies were somewhat required to take. The diversity training has gone away, but the issues have stayed. Anything discrimination or religious issues, any sort of workplace frictions, they are still there. I read some statistics that U.S. companies pay anywhere between $500 million to $1 billion annually in lawsuits caused by employees' lack of engagement, turnover, and lawsuits. So I was hoping I can be the ray of hope for those facing that kind of situation, either team members or leadership teams that need to do damage control.
That's amazing, Lisa. So how did you get into that? Like, what inspired that? And I have some really good questions to ask you, actually, around what you do. But what inspired you to get into what you're doing now?
Well, I came to America 21 years ago, and coming from the corporate environment in the US, I saw firsthand what happens when you have engaged teams, when you integrate everybody, and when you go separate ways. Coming from a background of business and finance, I've worked also with ma and pa companies as well as big corporations, and there's a difference between those that actually leverage the diversity of their workforce and those that let things slide, don't care, or have to wait until they actually face legal consequences. So this has not been necessarily sudden and not just US based, because I have a diversity background of over 3 decades. Between Europe and America, I've seen notable cultural differences, and I can put those to work. What I noticed, those that are more advanced, the companies that have the budget and the vision to actually leverage a diversified workforce, they offered some sort of training. And now with the change of priorities and verbiage, they have to rename the diversity training into leadership and any other thing but diversity. Again, workplace diversity is not going to go away. We may rename it, we may look the other way, but we're still going to face the same issues. So those companies have definitely the advantage on the marketplace because they can better leverage workplace diversity. Now we're talking about global expansion as well in international markets. Those that do not offer even a basic minimum, bare minimum, are those having to deal with, at the very least, turnover rate and employee disengagement, and that also hurts the bottom line. So yeah, it's first of all, it's a mindset thing. Do we need to work with diverse people? Well, if somebody says no, we don't, then they are just stuck into, I don't know, decades old mentality. Because one thing I noticed, and going back, if you want to do statistics and Google research, up until the 90s, immigrants to America were expected to blend in seamlessly. And then starting with the 90s, we have a new trend. There's a degree of blending in. Of course, you want to be quickly adaptable to the new society, but also this tendency of standing out. And people are tending more and more to reclaim their uniqueness, their diversity, their cultural heritage, their differences, not only claim it, but also monetize it. The friction happens when they are trying to impose it. Whatever that is, that diverse angle, you want to be accepting and win people over, as opposed to slam it and enforce it, because that's when you turn people away.
That makes sense. And so you're known as the true stories merchant. So what does that actually mean? And why do you believe storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in leadership today?
Well, the story merchant was a popular character back in the days when education on large scale was not available, theater or, elevated art, especially in rural communities, they were not available. But the story merchant was the beloved character going from village to village and carrying stories, news, and as well as allegory stories, what could happen, what has happened, how do we deal with that. That was entertainment and education for the people who otherwise did not have access to it. Now I took it a step further, not just tell stories, because we can read the Grimm brothers or Isaac Asimov or something like that. How about true stories? Let's talk about real life stories of real people confronted with real issues that we can all relate to and learn from. So that's how I settled on my my brand name. And as far as storytelling, this is a universal language because it speaks an emotional language that transcends cultural and linguistic barriers. And everyone can find a nuance of humanity in just about any story. So this is a very, very connecting factor, storytelling. Everyone can relate to a story.
I absolutely love that response. And you've had over 3 decades of cultural cross-cultural communication experience. So what is one major thing that you see in organizations that they fail to do when they're trying to navigate diversity?
The one thing that I've seen, and a lot of issues trickle down from leadership, really, because leadership shapes up the company. To assume that everybody should be naturally and automatically on the same page, to try to blend everything together, to integrate everything together in a common culture, regardless of personal backgrounds, experiences, and priorities, really. And it doesn't take much to actually hear the unique voice of everybody, because in the end, we're all in there for the common goal. But if you assume and try to force everyone one size fits all, that's when the problems start. Because assuming that everyone shares the same values the same way at the same time is a really, really big mistake, and it's very costly in corporations and in society in general.
Yeah, there's never one size fits all. It's like that working with the homeless too. Everybody has different needs. We work with the youth. It's so important to take that into consideration, and it's cool that you do. So you've worked across Europe. You've worked across America. What are some of the key differences in how leadership and communication show up across cultures?
Well, things have changed over the past decades, and I must say for the better. And my native country, Romania, has a tendency of looking up to what is American and try to copy what is good and nice. So things have changed since I left Europe 20 some years ago. But I would say at that time, the main difference between leadership in Romania and leadership in America, when I started working here, I could compare the two. And in Europe, in Romania, at that time, there was this bossiness. The boss is right. The boss is above everybody. Whereas here in America, is not being the boss, it's being the leader. Servant leader, moreover, part of the team, part of the ship, part of the crew. They work together for the common goal, not just you have to follow orders because the boss says so. So that was Europe a couple decades ago, but again, things would have changed. And if they haven't, and there are, of course, exceptions to the rule, depending on the size of the company, the ownership, their priorities, because if you run a ma and pa shop, of course, they're going to want to control every detail. Whether they want to work with you or not, that's subjective. Or some people may expect you to do everything. Other people will step in and train you and work with you. So it's this one is as diverse as the companies themselves, from a couple of employees to large corporations. But definitely leadership matters.
I absolutely love that. And I love all your answers you've made so far, Lisa. But with that, we have to go into a quick commercial break, so we'll see you right after that.
Okay.
Join the fastest growing community of professionals on the internet with OWL. Access new networks and otherwise unreachable professional contacts through the one-on-one call feature on the app. Scroll through the list of available professionals and join them for a quick call to build rich connections, expand invaluable relationships, and to broaden your professional landscape without needing lofty referrals. OWL. We bring vetted pros to your doorstep 24/7 on demand. Join our community by signing up at owl.com today.
When people's lives hang in the balance, their story matters. At Awful Media, we listen, observe, and absorb the mission. Then we craft content that shines light into the darkness where it's most needed. Stories of resilience, of renewal, of fellowship. Stories that inspire compassion, spark action, and remind us all that giving transforms lives, and that joy, hope, and even laughter are part of what makes those lives worth living. With every frame, every sound, every detail, we carry forward the DNA of the mission itself. Awful Media, revealing the heart of every cause.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of today's Wealth Strategy Media TV. We're having an amazing guest, Lisa E. Kirkwood. If you're just tuning in now, make sure to go and rewatch this whole entire video and learn her wisdom and check her out. So with that, I want to tap a little bit back into the storytelling that you do, Lisa. So your work, it connects storytelling with leadership development. How does a leader actually use storytelling to influence and unify a team?
Well, that's another pain point for a lot of companies nowadays. It's not just about throwing statistics at people, because numbers and pie slices and stuff like that, they're really, really abstract and go right over people's heads. I would think one of the main qualities of a good servant leader nowadays is being comfortable with being vulnerable. You can share a story of your own with the team. This is what I did, but it didn't turn out right, as opposed to I am always right because I'm the boss. So tell the people what you've been through. This is real life stories, real people with real issues that your team, your subordinates can relate to. You're not just somebody out there in the ivory tower. You are real, and you've been confronted with real issues that they can learn from and not repeat the same mistakes. So I would say stick to the emotional side, to the genuine side, as opposed to the distant, cold statistic that really people can relate to, because they'll be like, at the end of the day, what do I care about statistics? I'm not part of it. And you're the one counting the ROI. I just need my paycheck, and I need to be respected, and I need to work in a positive environment. So yes, storytelling based on real life examples.
I absolutely love that. And you mentioned earlier in your statement that a key feature is being comfy, being vulnerable. So that is actually a feature that, I sometimes struggle with, because it's hard to be vulnerable with people when you're trying to stand out and seem like that leader. What would you say to someone who's trying to get more comfy with that and being able to express themselves more to the team?
It is a process. You can't just decide, well, until today I've been the bossy boss, and now I'm going to be the vulnerable servant leader. It's a process. It's a mindset. It requires additional commitment, sometimes additional training, because it's not as easy as flipping a switch. So first of all is acknowledging that you want to make an adjustment, that you want to make a change, but also give yourself room to grow. And also bring other people in. Let them know that you are together on a journey, and you are there to support each other. That will make the transition easier from, being the absolute boss or the absolute jerk to somebody who actually genuinely cares about the team and the collective success.
You mentioned servant leader. Just so our listeners know what that is, could you explain what that means, what a servant leader is?
A servant leader is the opposite of a bossy boss. Is somebody who works with the team as opposed to against the team. Somebody who doesn't just throw orders, is somebody who explains and gives guidance and draws together with the team towards the common goal. It's quite simple, actually, but implementing between the two, the difference, like I said, it's a journey, it's a process. You can't become from one the other overnight. And some people are quite comfortable with just being the bossy boss forever and ever. And there's not much you can do in those situations, really. You're going to have employees who are miserable and would rather not be engaged or quit or silent quitting, whatever it's called nowadays. So yeah, bossy boss versus servant leader. Who would you rather work with? Seriously.
Not the bossy boss, I don't think. I think the
Okay.
servant leader is the better call.
Yeah, and you want to also acknowledge the societal changes nowadays, because people are leaning, more and more people are leaning more towards a cohesive community, as opposed to somebody who stands out, the tall sunflower. And it's okay to be the role model and the idol, as long as you don't take that to extreme. Because yes, you're the boss, you're the leader, you are expected to have answers. But when you don't have all the answers, it's okay. You can just say, this needs to be worked on, let's brainstorm and find solutions together, as opposed to, okay, I'll figure it out, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm still the boss. Something like that.
That's awesome. So your program, you focus on helping organizations prevent costly lawsuits and to protect their reputation ultimately. So what are some early warning signs that leaders often ignore that lead to bigger problems?
Yes. So depending on the HR structure that you have or may not have in your organization, people don't sue or quit or do something uncomfortable or stupid overnight. There are warning signs early on. How are they being treated? How is the leadership towards them? How can they interact with each other? Say, for example, and this is a totally random example, okay? You have a workplace, say you have an Arab and a Jew in the same team and they have to work together. We know that this is a sensitive topic. How are you going to address this, considering everything that's going on in the world? It's a case-by-case situation. Say another organization has problems with integrating their LGBTIAQ+, if I can say that in one mouthful without stuttering. See if you can integrate that workforce minority into the majority. How can you create a harmonious environment that is welcoming of sexual minority people?
So you want people to feel psychologically safe. Is that kind of what you're getting at there?
Yes, and that's just one of the many aspects, because again, it starts with respect. Are you going to show respect and positivity to all your peers? It may not be the leadership that is annoying and too harsh. It might be coworkers. They come from different backgrounds. For example, someone like Eastern Europe, we have a very direct lifestyle. And very direct communication style. We also speak louder. We had American missionaries coming to our church in my native town, and they thought that we were arguing all the time. No, this is how we speak. The same thing happened, those who were listening to Croatian or Serbian language. Total foreigners, with their like a lower tone of voice. Are you guys arguing all the time? We're not. So it could be simple things like this, all the way up to complicated issues. Like, say, for example, workplace sexual harassment. That's a big one, because you can tell nowadays between Weinstein scandal in 2017 and Epstein scandal in 2026, the world is no longer the same. And that in and of itself warrants a separate curriculum within an organization to avoid this situation. And mind you, is not only the binary harassment. We are talking about people of the same gender who can harass somebody else depending on their relationship. These are complex human relationships that have to be addressed on a case by case, but it pays to do an honest and open assessment of where you're at. First of all, what type of organization do you run? Is it a handful of people? Is it a large organization? Because if you need to manage and wrangle a lot of people, then you better have your leadership team up to speed on what to communicate and what the expectations are. Because again, human nuances are varied. And before you get yourself a lawsuit on hands, you can just acknowledge that there is an issue to begin with. And this is like, let me give you an example, a positive example of what can happen coming from a corporate environment. There was this department that I worked in, and we were working on Sunday for a long time. that happened to be a Jewish holiday. And we had a Jewish lady in our department who wanted the holiday off because of religious observance. And the team lead, who was the supervisor, who was by the book, no, we need coverage, he refused to grant it to her. And she had to go to the manager and imply, not really threaten a lawsuit, but imply the lawsuit. And the manager approved it. You don't want to get to that situation. All it takes is like, okay, let's make an exception, because it's all, human exception. But here's the catch. Fast forward a few years later, same organization, almost the same leadership team. We have a Muslim dude in the team, okay? Yeah. And he asked to have his small break adjusted so he can do his daily prayers. Guess what? The leadership said, yes, we're going to assign you a small prayer room, bring your rug, do your thing, and, let's work together. This kid felt so welcome and so appreciated that 6 months in the job, which was an entry-level job, he was training to become a supervisor. Because of that small accommodation, that little nuance thing, that little, I care about you. I don't know nothing about your religion and I'm not going to relate to it, but they care about you as a person. Let's make things work. Well, no lawsuits, no drama, engagement, productivity, revenue.
And it probably made him feel more vested in his work too, because he felt taken care of by his employer.
You bet. Yes, of course.
Yeah, definitely. So we have 5 minutes left, Lisa. So I want to ask you one last question. So you have been a part of multiple #1 best-selling books. What core messages or themes do you feel is most important for leaders to understand right now?
That humanity prevails, especially in the age of AI. The book titles, they are dealing with leadership and culture of people across organization and even a global outreach. One of them is also about artificial intelligence and how are we building a digital society, which is being built as we speak. But humanity prevails. What we're trying to do ultimately is to humanize the robot, not robotize the human. So once we understand this core value, we will leave aside our cultural differences and religious issues and stuff like that, because we ended up hurting each other too much in the name of whatever the heck we're pursuing other than humanity.
Yep.
In our core being, we are human beings with the same basic needs, need for respect, need for care, need for love. So let's remember that first and foremost.
I love that. And Lisa, he mentioned it was the last question, but I actually have a couple. Questions. So you describe yourself as a modern Renaissance woman. How has blending, multiple disciplines shaped your perspective and impact?
That's a very good question, because when I tell people who I am and what I do, at some point, some of them get lost. They would say, and I know I don't mean like get lost, like go away. I mean, they get confused. How can you possibly even think that you can do all these things at once well? Why can't you just pick a lane? Pick a lane and stay in that lane. I can't really blame them, because common folk, decent folk, they have one lane and they're really good at it. Stick to it. Myself, I'm a bit different. Why do I have to stick to one lane when I have an entire complex highway with multiple lanes?
Good point.
I had to challenge myself to actually clarify the message and pick just 2 or 3 lanes at a time that people can follow in a given moment. Because if I can say, tell 10, 12 lanes at once, of course, they're going to, get confused. But when you have multiple talents, just find a way to not overwhelm people, but find a way to actually present them in their true light, because you're not doing yourself a favor, you're not true to yourself, and you're not helping the people that are supposed to be helped by holding back. Only because people's comfort level is reduced and it's boxed into just one thing. Yes, think about Leonardo da Vinci. He could only be, somebody would come to him and say, Leo, you can only be a sculptor, or you can only be a painter. Or why do you want to be a scientist and an artist? It doesn't make sense. Tell that to someone of multiple talents. I think we need to understand and cultivate people with multiple skills, because they help a lot to elevate others who have been boxed in or pushed aside by the same narrative. You have to stay into one lane. It's okay to pick multiple lanes. That's my advice.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really intelligent thing to say, because it really is. You can pick multiple lanes, and that's totally fine. And I know we're running out of time. I have one really important question, last one that I really want to get to, and it would mean a lot to me if you could answer that. So basically, with things changing so rapidly in the world today, what does effective leadership really truly look like compared to even 10 or 15 years ago? Like, what's effective leadership look like?
Effective leadership is effective human skills. The most basic, love thy neighbor. And I mean, you don't have to love them to the moon and back. Just care about them. Know that they are on the same pursuit of happiness as you are. If you happen to be the boss, if you happen to be the leader, and you have power, quote unquote, over them, don't abuse that. Yeah. Be the leader, be the role model, be the friend, as opposed to the tyrant, the dictator. You don't want to be that. Leadership has evolved over the past few decades, and it will continue to evolve to be a lot more integrative of the leadership team and the bottom line workers, because we need to converge those talents towards a common goal, and not just be isolated in the ivory tower and just be the boss, and the rest of it, there's just employees and they have to march in line like soldiers. Right. Individuality should be more rewarded, because it's a lot more rewarding. It brings more revenue, it brings more creativity, more innovation, all the good stuff. If you manage to hit that soft spot between differences and just build that common bridge of communication that people can come together for the common good, then you're a good leader.
Awesome, Lisa. Well, we are out of time. So tell people how they can find you, and that way, we can start sending people your way. And before you do, I know you have a website. I just put it on the screen, but definitely tell people how they can find you and get in touch.
That's the easy way. Just get to my website, www.thetruestoriesmerchant.com. So like you said, story merchant, but this is thetruestoriesmerchant.com. That's the website, and you'll find my contact information, phone number, email. And I would love to connect.
I love that. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on today. This was an amazing interview, and keep up all the good work, and things are just going to continue to grow. So have an amazing day, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks. I hope you have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.